What's up, everyone? Thank you for joining me today. I am Misty Murray, founder of Arrow Consultants and paralegal of 2 decades. I have been absent for the last 5 weeks or so because I have gone through a journey of moving from North Carolina to Oklahoma. And as you can see behind me, I have an entirely new set because I have an entirely different office. To dive right into things today, because I have been away for quite some time, I want to talk about 2 very important questions that I get asked a lot, and that is, Misty, you work so much. Is it worth it to become a paralegal? And 2, what did it cost you? And to this, I say yes, absolutely, 1,000 times yes, 100%. It was worth it to become a paralegal, and it cost me $0 to become a paralegal. Stick with me today because we're going to talk about those 2 questions, dive into my journey just a tad so that I can discuss with you what it takes to become a paralegal, what it doesn't take to become a paralegal, what you don't need, and just get really real with you about these 2 questions. Let's talk about my journey a little bit, and then we'll dive into what it takes for you, okay? So let's take a step back in time and talk about my first introduction into this industry. And let me tell you what, guys, when I started out in this industry and interviewed for my very first job at a law firm, I was a cashier at PetSmart, okay? I had no legal experience whatsoever. I was dealing with German Shepherds and Shih Tzus and Pit Bulls and all the other breeds that you can think of as a cashier at PetSmart. I was restocking dog food. I was talking to people about the boarding options. I had no experience as a paralegal. What I did have was typing skills, and I had people skills. I had been to a business college where I had learned basic secretarial skills so that I could get my foot into the door somewhere. But I wasn't necessarily going into it thinking that I was going to be a paralegal. I was just trying to get some foundational skills. So I had typing skills at 50 words per minute. I had great handwriting, and I had good people skills. As a cashier, I was constantly interacting and working with people, and that went over really well in my interview. And the attorney that I interviewed with wasn't looking for someone who had a ton of experience. He didn't have that much money to give. And so when I went in and interviewed for the position, of which I sat in the waiting room for 1 hour for him to finish his lunch just so I could interview with him, I got the job. And so I started out as a receptionist in this small boutique personal injury practice law firm that had a very big revolving door. And so as I was receptionist for that law firm, I started to ask for other things. I wanted more assignments. I went to the legal assistants and to the attorneys and started asking for more. I had some time as a receptionist for some downtime when the phones weren't crazy. What else could I do? And so they really started giving me more work to do. They started giving me, simple papers to draft and filing to put away and some accounting stuff to do. And as those things grew and I started to grow a little bit more in that receptionist position, when the legal assistant for the personal injury claims got fired, I immediately put my name in the hat for that job. And a few days later, I was offered that job. So I was given the opportunity to grow in that firm within the year that I had been there so that I could show my skills as a legal assistant at the time. Again, I had no education, formal paralegal education at the time. I was just getting my feet wet. I was just getting my foot in the door. And there was a personal injury paralegal attorney that was working for the firm. And she kind of became my mentor. She became a person that I was really looking up to, and I absorbed everything, absolutely everything that I possibly could from this attorney, because I knew that the more I could take on and the more that I could absorb for her, the better that I was going to be at my career, okay? So fast forward many years later, I had throughout those years thought, okay, I'm gonna go to law school. So I'm gonna go to school with my political science degree, and I'm gonna go to law school. And after 3 years working as a paralegal, not necessarily with that firm, I did move on, and so did that other attorney that was my mentor. Then I decided to stay being a paralegal because I saw the struggles that attorneys were going through, and I decided that it was just better for me to be a paralegal, and I didn't want to be an attorney. So I went on with my degree, but I knew that I wasn't going to go to law school, so I maintained being a paralegal. But let's talk a little bit about the fact that I didn't have any skills going into this job. I had foundational skills that could translate into being a good person for this job that they were hiring me for at the time, which was a receptionist. Think about your jobs right now. Where are you at right now in your career? If you're thinking about being a paralegal, you're thinking about going to law school, any of those things. Where are you at, and what are you doing right now that translates into the legal industry? Are you a customer service representative? Are you in real estate? Are you in retail? Are you working at a long-term care facility or at an assisted living facility? Are you working at a jail? Those things come with people skills. Are you a social worker? There are a lot of skills in industries that have nothing to do with the legal community that translate very well into law firms, especially when they are dealing with plaintiffs. If you are bilingual, then you're gonna work great at an immigration firm, or gonna be great at the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act and working with debtors, working with creditors, working in the bankruptcy industry. Think about what you are doing now and how is it going to translate. What's your typing speed? Can you do the 10 key? Are you really great as far as technology? Are you great with the computer? Are you tech savvy? Do your sentences flow well with people? And are you able to flow in conversations well without having to pull information or really struggle to have that conversation? So think about the skills that you have now and whether or not it can be carried over into the legal industry. There are a lot of attorneys out there that don't care that you don't have any legal experience because they would prefer to mold you. And that is exactly what I found. That attorney preferred to mold me into the worker that he wanted me to be, rather than have to retrain me and things that he didn't like, the way that I was doing things. And so you have to be adaptable. You have to be teachable. You have to be able to take the initiative and absorb everything that you possibly can to further your career. You have to make an attorney or make another paralegal take you under their wing. And if they don't, then it's up to you. It's really up to you to get out there, to get on YouTube, to get an e-course, to take webinars, to do everything that you possibly can to continue learning to get you where you want to be. It's you, it's your life. Nobody's gonna do it for you. You're gonna have to be the one to do this. But just because you don't have the experience in the legal industry does not mean that you can't do it. I absolutely love my job, and I have been doing it for 2 decades. And I have worked with some of the most amazing attorneys, and true story, absolutely true story about how much I love my job. The birth of my second child was completely scheduled around a trial that I had to be back for. I scheduled her birth and I was back about 3-4 weeks later, just in time to prep for that trial and get that attorney to trial. I know that sounds crazy, and a lot of paralegals out there talk about boundaries and talk about setting limitations, but I'm sorry. If you're a new paralegal coming into this industry and you set boundaries and you set limitations, then you're not building trust with attorneys. You're not creating an environment where they feel that you can work independently without the supervision, and you're never going to be able to probably work in a remote environment for that firm. You set boundaries, you set limitations, and they're going to stop giving you stuff. Don't set boundaries, don't set limitations. Absorb and take everything that you possibly can, because it will help you maintain your career and excel in your career by going above and beyond. That's what attorneys look for. That's when they trust you. That's when they say, you know what, this paralegal has what it takes. She or he can take this case file. They have it completely under control. I can let them go. That's what you want. That's what you want every attorney to say about you. And you know what? They're online, they're on social media, they're endorsing you on LinkedIn, they're commenting on your Instagram post. And in states like Utah and Washington and gosh, I know that there's another one out there. These states are allowing paralegals in certain areas of law to practice without the supervision of attorneys if they have the proper credentials. And so whenever you have attorneys trusting you and you're in an environment that has a state where you're allowed to kind of be free and practice certain areas of law like forcible entry and detainer and some custody stuff and marital stuff and separation stuff. I mean, if you're getting an endorsements by attorneys because they trust you and they believe in your work product and they know that you're gonna put 100% into that case, you're gonna be on the front lines and ready to go freelance when the time is right for you. But you have to put in the work. You have to put in the hours, okay? You don't necessarily need a ton of education behind your belt. Just get out there, beat the pavement, get your foot in the door, absorb everything that you can, okay? My job and everything that I've done and the sacrifices that I've made for it are well worth it. I love what I do. I love who I do it for. I love the type of clientele that I have, and my industry and the area of law that I practice is a cause. It's not just a job, which makes it even more worth it, okay? If you have any questions or comments, please let me know below, and I'll do my best to answer them all. I am working on creating a Paralegal Boss Club group so that I can bring more content to you more personally online in a group. So let me know below in the comments if you want to join, and I can send you a private link through Facebook, because that's the platform it's going to be on Facebook. So don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and all the other social media platforms out there. And I promise, guys, I will be back next Wednesday. Okay, until then, talk to you guys later. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye-bye.